What has happened with the cost of renting a home over the last decade, and why does it make sense, not for everybody, but why does it make sense for a lot of people to buy a house and get locked in on that mortgage rate that's fixed for 15, 20, 30 years?
Oh, yeah, man. Now we're talking numbers. That's my game.
Yep.
That's my game. I don't even think you got to really think about a decade. I like to break it down more on an annual basis and then see how that might add up over a decade.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
And I was reading recently, just in the last 12 months in our Atlanta metropolitan area, that rents have increased 3.8% over the previous 12 months. By the way, I think that was fourth or fifth highest metropolitan area in the country. It doesn't sound like a lot if you think about it just year over year.
Right.
But what you've got to think about, or I love our listeners to think about, is what the cost of that might be over 5 years. So I ran numbers on $1,500 a month, which is closer to the average.
I think you're right.
Metro area.
Yep.
And so that's a $57 increase just in the last 12 months. But over 5 years, $285. So now we're
wait a minute. So in 5 years, your rent will have increased 200 and how much?
$285. A
per
$1,500 apartment or a single family residence, same deal, should cost you $1,785 5 years from now. And so now we're talking, close to $300 increase. That's $300 out of the disposable income, the extra spending money that you have today that you won't necessarily have 5 years from now.
Yep.
And that can really impact your budget.
Some people, it makes more sense for them to buy a home. And let's talk about that 30-year fixed mortgage rate and how that's way better than having your rent go up.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, how the acquisition of real estate can be the biggest differentiator between how someone can create wealth over time versus not. And, we think about the obvious, that the home will likely appreciate in value over time. We think about the fact that when you make your monthly payment, you are paying down principal, so you're going to owe less and less on it over time. But the missing variable that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration is how they can lock in their housing expense. We know that housing is the biggest consumer of your monthly budget, takes the biggest bite out of your paycheck.
Right.
So if you can lock that down, as opposed to having it go up year over year over year, then you're going to, over time, create more disposable income for yourself. And that disposable income gives you the opportunity to create wealth.
How many people call you who are questioning whether or not they can buy a house, and they find out that they can indeed buy a house and that qualifying for a house is much easier than they think?
We at Brand Mortgage, and my team specifically, make it our mission statement to never say, no, you can't buy a house.
Okay.
We're instead going to tell you how you can buy a house. Whether that's now, in a year, 2 years, or when, we're going to walk you through what the processes are and how you could put yourself in a position to buy a home if that's in your budget, your plan, your dreams to own a home. We're going to tell you how to get there, because I believe that every person that dials our number can buy a home. It's just telling you the steps to take. It's on the listener and the caller to execute that plan, but it's totally doable for everybody.